What's going on, guys? Glowing Gear Studios here, and I'm going to try to keep this part 2 of the Chosen 4 video under 10 minutes. Don't know how well that's going to work, but we'll see. So we're going to do the remaining 3 of the Chosen 4. Right here before you is Paula, and all these children are going to basically follow the same sculpting procedure as Ness, right? Where we have a circular head. Well, that's a really bad circle. We're going to have a circular head. Then we're going to take for her bangs, we're going to take a circle, cut it in half, so we're left with a shape that's like that. We're going to take another sphere in the back, we're going to flatten it, and then we're going to kind of push it up so that it has like a triangle-like shape. And then for the bow, sphere, 2 other spheres pushed in on both sides. Eyes are going to be spheres as well. I mean, come on people, we know the drill at this point. Chest is a sphere. The skirt is going to be a sphere also. Similar thing as the bangs, it's going to be a sphere cut in half. And then we're going to add little streaks down the sides, so that, little creases and natural folds. Arms, tubes, legs, tubes, feet. What are we going to do? Take a sphere and cut it in half. Typical stuff. Come on. And then we're going to take a cylinder for the, I guess, belt. And we're going to put that right in on her waist. And then for her collar, we're going to take, watch how cool this is. So we're going to take 4 spheres. It's going to look like this. We're going to cut a square down the middle so that what's left is a shape that's similar to this. Let's see. And then we're going to rotate it around her collar so that her neck fits right down the middle. So that's the basis for Paula. So let's get right to it, right? Let's show the sculpt right now. All right, so we're going to take Ness's base head, right? We're going to cut that sphere in half. We're going to put, for the bangs, we're going to take that other sphere in the back, flatten it out, and those are going to serve as the base of her hair. And they'll look the same exact thing as I said before. So we're going to take the 2 spheres, right? See that? We're going to squish it right down the middle so that it connects to the sphere for the bow. And now we have a base little bow. Of course, a little girl needs some eyelashes. So, how else are we going to possibly know that she's a girl, right? So we got to put some eyelashes. For her chest, it's going to be the same thing. I tried to experiment with the lathe feature, which is used to make things like vases, however you want to pronounce it. But it didn't wind up working too well, so I did a sphere for the chest. I did that half sphere for the skirt, meshed them together, and then for the belt, right, as I said, use a cylinder, make it thin, put 2 cones for the sleeves, and right now I'm just buffing out the skirt, because it took me a little while to get the proportions right for this girl. So made the now here are the arms. I'm trying to get her into like a cute little pose. So I think I'm gonna put the arms behind her hips, so she's clasping them. Then for the legs, right, same thing. Tubes, very basic stuff. Like the tough part about this project that I'm doing is that it's 4 characters, right? So now I'm gonna have to pose them all, but that's gonna be for a different video. Feet are gonna be same thing. Spheres cut in half. You guys know the drill at this point. Just placeholder hands, little spheres for that. You know how this is, right? And then watch, now I'll start adding the detail. So little creases for the bangs, right? Just to show that it's hair a little bit. I kind of smooth those features out. Then I meshed all the hair together. And now I'm going to add, watch, so see all the spheres? So I flattened them out, right, to give that pretty little collar, almost just like a flower. And then I adjusted them so it actually sits on top of her chest and shoulders. Added a little triangle for the nose. And after I put the center collar piece, I actually mesh all the spheres together to make it look much more natural. Wound up flattening all that stuff out, and now here is Paula. So, not too bad. Kind of understanding the Earthbound style, right? Now let's move on to Jeff. Alright, it's now time for phase 3, right? Sphere for the head. Similar to Paula, we're going to take for his, I guess his bangs, right? His bowl cut, Jesus. We're going to take a sphere, cut it in half, right? Very, very similar. For the glasses, we are going to take a cube, mirror that cube. So now we have this, right? Cut it on both sides so we have the symmetry. And then for the actual legs of the glasses, right here, we're going to just take another cube, stretch it super long to make it a rectangular prism. Ears, spheres, come on, right? Arms, legs, what are we going to do it? We're going to do tubes, right? We're going to put tubes. For the hips, we're going to do a sphere. Now for his jacket's kind of cool. So we're going to take, right? So here's a cylinder. And then we're going to look at it, let's say from a top view, right? So we're going to look at it from top view, make a cut in like that. So from the top, it's going to look almost like Pac-Man, right? It's going to look like that. We're going to layer that. So we're going to put from the top, it's going to be Pac-Man with a sphere in the middle. This is a top view, right? A cross-sectional view. And then for the feet, spheres, cut it in half. Hands, placeholder spheres. And for the bow, it's going to be exactly the same as Paula with the sphere in the middle. We're going to take that, press it on both sides, and we're going to keep it moving from there. All right, so now let's do the sculpting for Jeff. So we have the same head as Paula, right? Same bowl cut, right? Except this time he doesn't have that flat mesh in the back to represent the back of his hair, right? So we just did those cubes, made a couple of cuts, and we just mirrored it, so now he has his actual frames. I tried using a mask feature, no need for that. Let's just duplicate those cubes to actually add the lenses for the frames, add a couple of prisms for the bridge of the glasses as well as the legs. And now I take a sphere, cut it in half-ish, and now I'm going to start doing the body. So this is his jacket, here's the pelvis, here are the legs, right? So his legs are a little bit thicker than Paul's because he's wearing pants. So I made... I kind of compressed it in the middle to simulate that it has kind of like bloated bottoms. His shoes are much more shoe-like, so I added the top right by the ankles. Now you see what I did right here, watch this. So this is the cross section, and then I make that cut. Where is it? Right there. So we make that cut, so right, see, you see the Pac-Man-like shape, right? And then I take a cylinder, put it right down the middle, so now his jacket kind of looks more like a jacket now. Now I added the, right for the middle of the bow, little sphere. Then I do a similar thing where I take the spheres again, I press it on both sides. For the actual, I don't know if they're called lapels in a jacket, I don't remember, but for that, the nice fancy piece of the jacket, I take two spheres, stretch it super thin, make it follow the mesh of the frame of the jacket, and then I make a couple of cuts, give it a little bit more refined edges, which you'll see in just a second, and I'll make a little cut right in the bottom of the shirt. Again, shows that the shirt is buttoned up. I'll be adding the buttons and other features like that later on. Remember, this is just the base meshes. Placeholder, hands, I'm going to be adding spheres, and then for the bow, right, same exact thing as Paula. Hands, right, and we're going to now kind of adjust the proportions, shape them up a little bit. I'll start adding the features of the hair in just a second. So there we go. We added this parting line right down the middle, a couple lines here and there, and you'll see right now that I'm going to show you the completed base model for Jeff. So here's how he looks. Not so bad at all. Definitely needs a little bit of fine tuning, but we're going to worry about the refinement later. So now it's on to Pooh. All right, and Pooh is the easiest one out of all of them, at least in my personal opinion. Sphere for the head, sphere for the eyes. Come on. For the eyebrows, we're going to be using a tube, and we're going to be bending it at points to look like this. Obviously, we're going to mirror it so it thickens out. Then for the bun of his hair, we're going to take a sphere, push it into his head, and then for his ponytail, we're just obviously going to add a tube. Then for the torso sphere, these legs, all we're going to do is we're going to take the tube tool, make it super wide at one point to make it look much more bloated. And then for the socks, I guess, for his ankles, we are going to take a cylinder, make it very narrow. Feet, sphere that was cut in half. And then for the arms, again, the same thing. Tube, placeholder hands for spheres. And then for the sleeves, right, same thing, cylinder, a little bit wider at the base, and then a little bit more narrow where it's at the origin point. Cut open a little triangle right at the top of his gi, and then we are going to use a cylinder that's flattened for the belt and follow the same exact bow principle that we've been using with a couple of tubes for the actual remaining part of the bow. So now let's go sculpt Pooh, and let's get these chosen four all in working order. Alright, so last but certainly not least, we're going to just use Jeff's base model and kind of adjust it from there to make Pooh. So yes, that's his name, as I had mentioned before, which is kind of insane, but we're going to deal with it. So I just removed the ridiculous bowl cut that he has. As you see at the beginning, I took his his legs, and kind of adjusted the radius, so now he kind of looks like he has bell bottoms. I'm going to add a cylinder at the bottom for the ankles, for those thin little parts. I adjust the proportion of the face a little, make his ears a little bit bigger, you know, just to kind of better capture the look of his base model and the way that he looks in this, you know, old Earthbound art. I have for the eyebrows, tubes that you see I'm going to be adjusting at various points to give him, you know, those very serious, angry eyebrows. I don't know how old Pooh is canonically. I think he's 14, I'm not sure. But he's got, now the sleeves, right, same thing, cylinders. For, you know, we're going to adjust the proportions a little bit just so it fits a bit better. I give him a neck. Then these are the tubes that I'm talking about, right? Very, very narrow. I put it at the base of his feet. And now you can see that the base shape is actually starting to look more or less how the guy's supposed to. Shortened up The torso, I am now adding a, you know, for the remaining flowing part of the gi, so that it kind of sits over the top of his legs. I take a cylinder, cut it in half, give it a triangular shape, then I take another cylinder for the belt, I fit it on top of the two separate pieces so it looks like it's all one mesh. I'm likely going to be voxel meshing it all together when I actually pose him and complete the final model. And now for the bun, I added that sphere, start adjusting the shapes, give him a little bit of a flowing ponytail, and the last but not least, gotta add the belt, right? So fix up the eyebrows, give him the little knot of the belt, and then I do a very similar thing where I take the spheres, push it against two different points, fit that against the knot of the belt, and then I will just take a 2 cubes, stretch it out a little bit, give him the bow, and here we are, right? Now, Pooh is done. So all the chosen 4 are in working order. I thank you guys for sticking with me during this lovely video, and we are now going to go into part 3 to get them all posed. Thank you very much.